We continue our coverage of the past decades and how they helped shape Las Vegas.
And tonight we're looking at the 1970s. The 70s saw the creation of the MGM Grand, the Holiday Casino and Nob Hill Resort. The average room rate back then was a little more than $30. You can't even valet your car for that now.
Right?
Famous showman taking the city by storm, Liberace was making $300,000 per week for his shows at the Las Vegas Hilton and Lake Tahoe.
Per week?
Per week.
Yes.
Imagine
Wow.
what that translates to now.
Living large.
Big dough.
All right, so joining us now to talk a little bit more in depth about the 70s is Ted Florinda.
Yeah, Ted, the MGM was really a hallmark of the 1970s.
Yeah, the MGM was the grandest of them all, guys. But there was a popular novel that would change the way people think of our growing city. However, it's the end of the king's reign that many people will never forget.
It's the disco era, and Las Vegas is one of the epicenters, with gambling, tourism, and high-end shows drawing in huge crowds from around the world. High-profile casinos were being built in what was once a desolate desert. While Caesars remained the top resort, it was the opening of the MGM Grand in December of 1973 that became the talk of the town.
This was bigger, more than 2,100 rooms, which of course today is less than half the size of the MGM Grand that we know at Tropicana and the Strip.
History professor Michael Green says the MGM opening was so huge, Cary Grant helped kick off the red carpet opening in front of hundreds waiting to get a peek of the latest resort. It was also the end of a king. After 860 shows at the Las Vegas Hilton, headliner Elvis Presley would call it quits.
His last shows were in '76, and there were people who said, he was starting to slip. He'd gotten heavier, he was less into it, but it was still an event.
The king would die a year later in the bathroom of his Memphis home.
Whether he would have continued performing here, we don't know. Apparently, there was no contract. It was, as was often done in Las Vegas in those days, a handshake deal.
It was also the decade of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the popular 1971 novel written by Hunter S. Thompson, a book about two friends' debauchery-filled weekend with drugs, alcohol, and gambling.
At the same time, I'm sure that Circus, which he attacked in there, the city of North Las Vegas, which he attacked in there, wouldn't exactly be happy with it.
Thompson's bestseller went on to be one of the most popular books in the 70s and also brought more crowds to the bustling desert.
And who could forget the infamous Caesars Palace flood that happened on July 3rd of 1975? Get this, while McCarran only reported just 0.07 of an inch of rain, West Las Vegas got over 3 inches, guys. The runoff from those storms inundated the Caesars parking lot, as you can see there, and as many as 700 cars were destroyed by those raging floodwaters.
So that's water there in the street?
That's water. You can see it.
Wow.
Everything underneath the water, submerged in the water.
Crazy.
Now, of course, with our flood channels now,
right,
thanks to the flood control district, we don't have that big of a problem, but they didn't have it back then. And the valley is elevated, so all that rain on the west side went right back down to Caesars Palace.